What's going on, Bulls fans? Happy Monday to all of you guys. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about the Utah Jazz and if they are in play for Josh Giddey. There's a major trade that broke down in the NBA earlier on this morning. So could the Jazz potentially be in play for the Bulls point guard? And then also, Jake Weinbach suggested a potential Nikola Vucevic Detroit Pistons trade. I actually think this is one of the worst trade ideas out there from the Bulls' perspective. So we'll dive into all this on today's show. But before we do so, I do want to give a massive shout out to all of the real ones that have hit that subscribe button over the past week. We have been posting videos like crazy, and you guys have been showing all types of support. We're actually closing in here on 13,000 subscribers. So if you guys aren't subscribed just yet, please go down there, hit that subscribe button. We will keep you guys posted with the Josh Giddey saga, all the trade rooms around the Chicago Bulls. So hit that subscribe button today and help us reach 13K here on YouTube. All right, so the major NBA trade that went down earlier today that has direct impact on the Chicago Bulls is this one, where the Miami Heat absolutely fleeced the Los Angeles Clippers. They're able to get Norman Powell, one of the best spot-up players in the NBA, averaged 21 points per game last season. I don't know how Miami keeps on doing it, but they were able to pull off Powell in this deal where the Clippers ended up getting John Collins from the Utah Jazz. And then the Jazz, they cleared up around $22 million in cap space, but also brought in Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a second-round pick. So could the Jazz potentially want Josh Giddey? Because I was trying to figure out why did the Jazz make this move, and it could be as simple as they just wanted to move off John Collins' contract, but could it be used for Josh Giddey? You know, right now they can offer any of these restricted free agents up to $36 million per year. So I know as Bulls fans, we've been saying we don't want to go past that $30 million figure. But what happens if the Jazz offer Josh Giddey, $33 million per season? What would the Bulls do? But it could also be for Jonathan Kuminga. It could also be for Cam Thomas. But knowing Danny Ainge and knowing how he is kind of, acted over the last, decade here in the NBA, I would assume that they freed up the cap space for a guy like Josh Giddey. I would probably put 90% likely Giddey and then the other 10% for Kuminga. Then I think they have no chance of getting a guy like Cam Thomas. But the question becomes with the Bulls is, what do they do? And I don't think this will end well for the Bulls, if I'm being honest. Because let's just say the Jazz do go and offer Giddey, $30 million per year. The Bulls will 100% match that offer sheet. There is no doubt in my mind. Honestly, I think the Jazz could offer Giddey $40 million per year, and that guy right there will still match that offer sheet. So I don't think this will end well for the Bulls, but really, what do you do if you're Chicago? Like, what ends up being the play? Like, let's just say Giddey goes out there and the Jazz offer him 3 for 100 or 3 for 90. Just call it an even number of $30 million per year. I think the Bulls have to almost match that offer. Because the one good move this front office has made over the last 4 or 5 seasons would be the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade. And even then, I still think that's a toss-up on who won that deal. I mean, the Thunder ended up getting a championship out of it, but the Bulls did get a young potential star in Giddey, and I don't think they would just want to, let him walk for, him being, $5-6 million more than they would have liked. But this is what you get for being cheap. And the Bulls, I promise you, if they would have offered Giddey 3 for, $28 million per year, he would have already been locked up. But why is he not locked up? Because I'm sure the Bulls front office offered him like 3 for 60, trying to get him on a bargain deal. Because they looked around the NBA and they said, well, nobody else can offer Josh Giddey that much money. But now the Jazz are in play. Now the Jazz have money to spend. I'm sure Danny Ainge, maybe his thought process through this deal was, you know what, I'll move off John Collins' contract, and there's also a very good restricted free agent still out there in Josh Giddey. Might as well offer him a contract sheet, but I'm also scared the Bulls will match about anything. Like, seriously, if the Utah Jazz offer Josh Giddey 3 for 120, I actually think there was a 90% chance that the Bulls would match that offer $40 million per year. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic when I say that, but just knowing how this front office has orchestrated over the last couple of seasons, I wonder if there isn't even a number out there that the Bulls would be like, hey, we're all right. We're just going to accept our losses here. We kind of messed around with this whole negotiating cycle with Giddey. We're just going to let him walk. I find that very hard to believe, and I think Danny Ainge, always comes back to Danny Ainge. He might end up screwing the Bulls yet again. But I'll ask you guys this, and then we'll dive into the Vooch segment here. How much per year would you offer Josh Giddey? My number at max is $30 million. 3 for 90. If it's any more than that, I'll probably be a little furious. We'll do a show breaking it all down. But you guys let me know, how much per year would you offer Josh Giddey? All right, coming up next, I do want to talk about the Nikola Vucevic Detroit Pistons trade rumors. There's been a couple NBA insiders suggesting that the Pistons could have some interest in Vooch, but before we do so, I got to tell you guys about a sweet deal we got going on right now where this t-shirt combo, where you can get 2 Chicago Bulls t-shirts for $20 off right now. Normally this combo is $49.99, but they're on sale for $29.99. So hit that link, chatsports.com/Bulls combo, and get this 2 t-shirt combo for $20 off. So it was Jake Weinbeck who tweeted this out saying, the market for Nikola Vucevic has been quiet up to this point, but the Pistons are an intriguing team that could emerge as an under-the-radar suitor for Chicago's skillful center. Detroit would value an experienced stretch 5 of Vucevic's skill set, and the 2-time All-Star would be capable of playing alongside Jalen Duren in a potential double big lineup. And then he also followed up to say if there's genuine interest, the Pistons can approach the Bulls with a proposal sent around 24-year-old center Isaiah Stewart in a straightforward swap deal. Vucevic will be entering next season on a $21.4 million expiring contract, which means swapping Stewart for the veteran big man in this scenario could create flexibility for Detroit in 2026 as well. So that's the deal that's being floated out there. Just Isaiah Stewart for Nikola Vucevic. I have a lot of thoughts on this. And originally when I saw this trade proposal, I was like, you know what, I would have some interest. Isaiah Stewart's a solid center, young guy, 24 years old, would bring a sense of physicality and a defensive-minded big that the Bulls haven't had in a very long time. But what's the holdup? It's this. It's his contract. He's still on the books for 3 years, $45 million. The Pistons gave him 4 for $60 last summer. I was first off shocked that they gave him that deal. That was under the radar for me. I did not expect Isaiah Stewart to have one of the worst contracts in the NBA, which this is. Just seeing how much these free agents at the beginning of this last cycle, $15 million for Isaiah Stewart is an absolute crime by the Detroit Pistons front office. But with him still on the books for $45 million, I just don't think this makes any sense for Chicago. Like, if we're moving off Vooch, and I would rather just have a second round pick. Like, if you could somehow trade him for just a second-round pick, I would be more intrigued in that compared to a guy like Isaiah Stewart. Because we talk about that 2026 free agency period with Chicago all the time, saying that could be the year that the Bulls end up spending big. If they finally want to go attract some big-name free agents, they have almost, I think, $85 million in expiring contracts this year. You would just pretty much take that down by 15, and then you're already at $70 million. Yes, you could still make some moves, but why limit yourself? And, Isaiah Stewart, he's been solid over the last 4 years. Is he anybody, really write home about? Not necessarily, but playing in 72 games this past season, averaging 6 a night, 5.5 boards. Like, listen, if he was, an option, if the Bulls were like, let's just say a championship contending team and we need another backup center, yeah, I would be all in on Isaiah Stewart. Now, I will say from the Pistons side of things really quickly, if I am a Detroit Pistons fan, and I see this trade floated out there, I'm taking it a heartbeat because you are getting an expiring deal and you do offer some double big lineup versatility where you could run Vooch, Jalen Duren at that 4-5. It would just give them a different look in the postseason if you are going up against a team that's running a double big lineup like the Knicks. If they're throwing out Cat and Mitchell Robinson, you just float in Vooch and Duren, which wasn't really a lineup they had, accessible to them this past season. But I'll kind of close it out with this. As much as I want Nikola Vucevic off this team, and if you guys have been watching the show since we started the show, I have probably been his biggest hater. But the Bulls can't even think about this trade. Like, is Isaiah Stewart the answer at the center position? No. It would strap yourself with all the financial flexibility that you have next season. You would just eliminate $15 million just to move off Vooch. I would rather just ride it out with Vooch. Okay, he plays this whole season. Then we get him off the books next offseason. Then you move from there. But I don't know. I just think this is a good trade for the Pistons. But from the Bulls, this makes no sense. And I wonder if this is just, insiders trying to almost take advantage of the Bulls and be like, oh, they'll do anything. So we'll just toss this trade idea out there. But you guys let me know. Would you accept this trade? A for accept, D for decline. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm absolutely not doing it. The Bulls better not think about it. And how funny would that be if the Bulls finally end up trading Nikola Vucevic, and it's a video where I'm crashing out. I didn't even think that was possible. I thought any Vooch trade I would be happy about, but this one specifically, absolutely not. You cannot trade him straight up for Isaiah Stewart. The guy still got $45 million handed out over the next 3 seasons. It might be one of those things where you say, hey, we couldn't trade Vooch. He just rides out this contract. He becomes an unrestricted free agent, and that's how it is. And you try to find your center, whether that's, signing a free agent next summer, hit up the draft, hit up the trade market, but this deal, absolutely not for the Chicago Bulls. I'd rather have them just extend Zach Collins. Just make that the move. But if you guys could, hit that subscribe button on your way out. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.